Well, welcome. I'm Wendy Rose Williams, and I'm so happy you can join us for the Waking Up Spiritually podcast. We're here twice a month on the second and fourth Sunday at noon Pacific and 3 p.m. Eastern. And I am a past life adventure guide. My website is wendyrosewilliams.com. And you are welcome to visit it and learn what I do as a past life adventure guide to help people release energy that no longer serves them. Things like chronic pain, anxiety, and depression. It is my pleasure and privilege to help people move through those things and get them in the rearview mirror. So with that, I will introduce Gregg Kirk, and he's going to tell you about himself and where he can be reached, and also about today's topic.
Hello, I'm Gregg Kirk. You can come connect with me on my website at greggkirk.com. That's spelled GREGGKIRK.com. I am an energy worker. I help patients with Lyme disease and other chronic illnesses with physical treatments, but I do energy work both in person with tuning forks and remotely through phone sessions, and help people with all manner of healing, not just chronic illness, but help with their spiritual paths. I've been doing a lot of training this year, training people to do some of the remote work that I do. So that's been an honor. I also do every Sunday, online group healing circles through Zoom. So we meet and we do healing sessions, or we do self-healing, group healing, and we are invoking our guides to get better information. Some of the information in today's deck came from these online group healing circle sessions. And we've just begun to do, usually about once a month, fire circles. So where we meet in person. It's been in Connecticut so far. And we do more or less what we do in our online group healing circles, but in person around the fire. We do toning. We do drumming and sound making and chanting, and it's very cool. If you're in the area, please connect. Go to the events link on greggkirk.com to check out when we're doing these things next. So today, Wendy and I are broaching the topic of divine love. So let me pull this up. And
we have this podcast both archived at wakingupspiritually.com, as well as on our YouTube by that same name. And we also have a Facebook group you're most welcome to join called Waking Up Spiritually. And some of you are listening to this as a podcast. Many of you are catching us as a podcast. So when Gregg's referring to the deck, there's also a PowerPoint presentation with pretty much every one of these podcasts, and you're welcome to check it out via the website or the YouTube.
Right. We'll do our best to describe the slides if they have specific images that really inform what we're talking about, but otherwise, please enjoy today's broadcast. The power of divine love. What is it? How do we differentiate divine love from anything else? And is it a religious thing? The answer is no. It can be a religious experience, but it is not completely driven by that. It's different than romantic love. How is that? Well, romantic love tends to be between, at least, somebody, it can be a man and a woman, it can be a woman and a woman, a man and a man. It can be the issue with, or the differentiation between romantic love and divine love is the possessiveness. So when people tend to fall in love with each other, they want to be with that person. They want that person to be exclusive with them for the most part. And there's been how many songs, thousands, maybe millions of songs written about romantic love and how possessive it can be. I was just thinking of a couple this morning before our broadcast. Donna Summer had a song, "If I Can't Have You, I Don't Want Nobody, Baby." There's one that's a hallmark of romantic love. Divine love is beyond that. And I'll define it as the last thing. There's also something called fraternal love, also known as brotherly love. It can be sisterly love. This is a love that you feel for another person that is not romantic. So it's more of a congenial, you have strong feelings, and we call it fraternal love. I mean, it could be the love that you feel for your brother or your sister. It's you don't want to be married to them or whatever. But it's a strong love that is definitely different than romantic love. But what is divine love? Divine love is unconditional, and there is actually a power to it. So because it comes from source energy or the creator. So divine love could be described, the source of it, as the creative center or power of life. You could go that far. So some hallmarks of divine love are it has healing properties, it has mind expanding properties, it has chakra opening properties. So people who experience divine love have what we would call epiphanies or we would call them, in the old days I used to call them religious experiences, but they're not sometimes they're not in the context of religion. They're in the context of you having a moment of awakening, or a moment of just deep connection with the divine. And that tends to create a feeling of openness and a feeling of, love coming from your heart center. So I'm going to stop here for a second, Wendy. I would like to hear, if you have anything to add, but I'd like to hear your take on this.
I'd like to add to that feeling of divine love. It just carries so much peace with it a lot of times, as well as just a real feeling of joy. So I think those can be very interwoven. And I do think we've got the ability to up-level what romantic love has been about on this planet. And there's the expression of falling in love, implying that you don't have a choice, and implying that it may start off great in the beginning, but then may turn into a very challenging type of relationship. And certainly that is not true in all scenarios, but often it is the case. So there is the concept of rising in love. And I think we can make romantic love and fraternal love be divine. So I think those can be combined in some powerful ways too, without negating the powerful distinctions that Gregg is making, because I think they're very valid.
I agree. The goal is to express divine love to a romantic partner or a fraternal person who you're feeling love with. But one more kind of differentiation is, for both of those situations, romantic love and fraternal love, you need another person to feel that love. That you have to have another person in order to feel that feeling of either romantic or fraternal love. Divine love comes from, within and without. It's you don't need another person. You feel that independent of. So we have these words, codependence. You're in a codependent relationship. So when somebody makes you feel good, feel in love, and that person decides to go away, that's disconnecting. A lot of people think that means, I'll never feel love again, because that was the only person who can make me feel that. And that's that's just not true. And it's just driving to Wendy's point. If you can create a deeper connection to the divine and feel love, this unconditional love all the time, you won't feel the need to seek out these codependent types of loves. So let's move on. What does divine love feel like? So I was holding back a little bit because I want to tell you about my experiences where I felt divine love. And I didn't, the first time I experienced it, I didn't know what was going on. It was my first time in Brazil. I was in a meditation, and with a group of people who were meditating, hundreds of people meditating, and I sat down. I was sick at the time, so I went to this healing place to feel better physically and to make whatever changes. I'd heard healing miracles were happening in this place, so I wanted to experience that. Before any of my healing miracles did, eventually they did happen. Before they happened, something else happened to me where I got to feel divine love. So what did that feel like? Well, I was sitting there feeling sorry for myself, where I was told, just go sit over here and start meditating. More or less, I was kind of giving up. I thought, well, I flew all the way down to Brazil and I think I kind of blew it. And maybe I don't deserve to heal, or, I was having all these crazy thoughts. And then all of a sudden so I sat down and I just kind of calmed my mind down, and from above, around where my heart chakra, my crown chakra is, I started feeling this movement, and I started feeling this heat coming down. And the first thing I thought was a codependent thought. I started thinking about my family, my wife and my daughter, and I just realized my connection to them, that maybe that was the trigger that kind of opened me up. But as soon as I thought about them, I had this other experience. I suddenly became aware of, I don't know if you would call them angels or guides, but I felt the awareness of maybe hundreds of them just on the other side of the veil, meaning where I could perceive, my vision. And just beyond there, it was just like a very thin membrane. I could feel these loving beings. And I just got this information just seeped into me. And it was, we love you. We don't care what's going on in your life. We love you so much. My heart
that
just
unconditional.
Yes. There was, because there was no judgment. There was no, it was just, we're here. They wanted me to understand that they were here. They're around me all the time. And that there's other beings around other people. So they wanted me to just understand that just beyond the veil, you have your guides, you have your loving beings, your guardian angels, whatever you want to call them. Sometimes it's beings, your relatives who have passed on. Sometimes it's your ancestors who you've never met. They're they passed hundreds of years ago, but they're here to help you. It's all your helping guides are there. The love that they have for you is astounding and staggering. It's beyond anything I ever knew. So this just hit me, and my heart just opened up. Of course, I just, ever since I had this experience, I used to not be able to describe it without breaking down into tears, because it opened me up. It opened my emotions. It pushed my emotions to the surface all the time now. Whenever I speak of the divine, source or divine love or things like that, sometimes it's been emotional. I can't get through it without choking up and weeping. But that's what happened. It just, the waterworks. I was weeping out of joy, of the feeling of this love. I felt all my chakras fly open. I felt the love from beyond, and that was my first experience with that feeling of divine love. And I remember a friend of mine telling me that he had an experience like that when he was on the train going to the Vatican. He said, Gregg, I had this feeling where I felt this pillar of light came down on me, and I was on the train, and even though I was around a lot of people, I burst into tears. I felt this experience of love. And he told me that 30 years ago, and I thought, wow, what a once in a lifetime experience. I just thought, wow, I'll probably never have that. Well, I had it multiple times when I was in Brazil, and now I've had it since then. It's like once you have that experience, you know what it is. I guess you're open to it or something, or, I'm doing these spiritual pursuits, I'm doing healing work. So every now and then I'll feel a person's guides come in. And sometimes so let me talk about a couple of other situations where this has happened to me. So in some situations, I've been interacting with a person's guides. And a lot of times people will say, well, what do my guides look like? How many do I have? And they never, the guides don't ever jump forward and say, here's what I look like. My name's Fred. And, it's nothing like that. They stay in the background. They don't like you to get bogged down in details. And they look like kind of like amorphous beings, because sometimes I believe a number of these beings only have light bodies and have never taken on physical bodies, or if they have, it's been so long ago that they've been inhabiting their light body, which looks like kind of like a human form, but just beaming with light. So I see that, kind of like on the periphery. And every now and then, someone's guides will come forward and say, we want the patient to feel love. And they push it through me. What an honor. That's incredible. So just imagine this love just comes crashing through me and then into the patient. And this has happened maybe about a half dozen times where I can't help it. I just burst into tears, it's just overwhelming. And then they do at the same time. What a spectacular experience that is. So I've been honored to feel that every now and then. And it doesn't happen all the time, but it's, when it does happen, you know it, because there's nothing like that feeling. It's this feeling of just complete. I mean, when we say unconditional love, that's what it is. There's no conditions on it. There's no whether or not you deserve it, or your actions are not involved. It's just, here's this overpowering love, take it on. And then every now and then we've had in our online group healing circles, we've engaged with some very big ascended masters who have come through and have kind of worked through me. Where I'm leery of doing like transmediumship, where that means that you take on a being inside your body. I don't like the idea of that, but every now and then when these beings approach, they'll say who they are, and then kind of remotely they just push this divine love towards me, and I'm speaking to the group, and then this love just comes crashing in, and the same thing happens. I burst into tears. It's usually every time it's like every time I experience it, it's like the first time. You never get used to it. It's like, oh my God, can you feel that? It's indescribable. So anyway, I really hope, at some point in your life, you get to experience this, those of you who are listening or watching, because it's the best feeling in the world.
Life-changing.
It is life-changing because, like I said earlier, it has, not only is it just a great experience, it can have healing powers as well. It can have, it can open your awareness. It can open your intuition. It can open your wisdom. It is the strongest force in the universe. There's nothing that can compare to it. Fear crumbles around divine love. So hopefully I've done a decent job at talking about that.
Done beautiful justice to it. I think one of the distinctions I'm really hearing is it being unconditional.
Yeah.
And that's what we don't realize a lot of times in those romantic or the fraternal loving relationship, with a best friend or whoever. We don't realize that it is codependent, and it's kind of got limits to it, and it can be like a little bit tit for tat. Well,
Yeah.
I love you because I want this, or I'm willing to do this because I need this from you, type of thing, versus fully opening up and having the courage to just stand in the flames of your own heart. I think that visual that you have here is just perfect, because if you picture your heart and then imagine your high heart above it and just fan the flames up, and then when those go all the way up to your third eye and beyond, that's where enlightenment is possible, because we're just really living from our heart.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's talk about the mechanics of really what divine love is. So this is some information that has come through our sessions, but it's also, it lines up with some information that is in one of the books, the Magus of Strogolos, the second book, which is Homage to the Sun, which is the wisdom from the Magus of Strogolos. So if you'd like to check those books out on Amazon, there's a mention of this idea of divine love is really kind of like a triangle, a holy trinity unto itself, of love, wisdom, and power. All these things come together to create this. Again, like I said earlier, divine love is a force in it. It's, when you experience it, it feels fantastic, but it is a force unto itself. So if you can connect to it, you can also kind of direct it around as well. And it's available to us as humans. So in the book Homage to the Sun, Daskalos, who's the master who talks about this idea of love, wisdom, and power, he says, so what happens if this is why you need to have these three elements together for divine love, because if you only have two legs of the triangle, you get distortions. So for instance, what happens if you just have love and wisdom? So that's great and everything. And I think a lot of us, especially, a lot of healers, are able to put love and wisdom together. But if you don't add the power element, and by power, I want to define this, because there's a bit of a distortion of that word around humans. When we think of power, we think of, will to power, like dominance over other people. That is not what we're talking about. We're talking about energy. What Dr. David Hawkins defined power versus force. So I would say the type of power that I just referred to, of dominance over people, that's really force, is what that is. That's a better definition. Power is limitless. It's pure strength, in a loving way. So if you have love plus wisdom, you don't have the power, you have good acts, you have good things that you're doing, but their effectiveness is limited. So it's not a bad thing, but it's great if you can tap into the power from source creation. Love plus power has the potential to be good, but it can be turned upside down. If you put love and power together, it's very strong love, but it can be turned to even evil acts because of wisdom. It can be tricked. Somebody who's wielding love and power can be tricked to do bad things. So that's not a good thing. And then, of course, we've got power and wisdom. What does that look like? Well, turn on the news on TV. Power and wisdom. It's what a lot of what we're getting today through our politics and our world situations, where you've got a lot of power, you got a lot of wisdom, but you're not doing these things from heart center. These are not heart-centered activities. So
you took the words out of my mouth. It's like it's missing the heart center.
Yes, exactly. So that's love plus wisdom plus power. That equals divine love. So you've got the love, you've got the wisdom. So that you understand what good acts are and what aren't, and then you've got the power. They all come together. So they're best used when they're directed towards others for healing and to resolve conflicts. And they're also, you can use divine love on yourself to raise your vibration and for self-healing. So is there anything you want to add to that one?
No, I just love the concept of the heart center coming out of it, and it just being that three-legged stool, which is not stable when you've just got two. I'm kind of seeing them as pillars of light, the love and the wisdom and the power, and the triangle is a very strong shape. So you've got to have those three. So that's wonderful.
Yep. Okay, Wendy.
All right. Well, I'd like to talk about, can we block divine love? And yes, we can. And I will be honest, I have experienced that myself. And we might be doing it consciously, where we become aware of it and we're like, oh my goodness, I've got some healing to do because I know I'm blocking this assistance that's being offered to me. I'm blocking good things in life. So we can become consciously aware of it, and even be aware that we're just blocking the love of the divine and this amazing assistance there. It also can be deeper. It can be unconscious. We don't realize, based on some past experiences, that we have got these self-limiting beliefs or these different blockages. And we might be in the place where we unconsciously are thinking, oh my goodness, everyone is out to get me, and good things just don't flow to me naturally. And we don't believe that the universe always has your back, which we've talked about before. And I believe that is like the most important decision you can make, because that just gets to the power of attraction and our ability to attract all these good things in life that align so perfectly with our life purpose. So if these things are in our unconscious and we're consciously like working hard to have spiritual practices and affirmations, and we're doing all these things that feel right and we're putting energy into them, but none of them are working, even with a good amount of effort, even giving it enough time, even trying different things, that tells you right there, you've probably got some unconscious blocks, because that they're just coming in and they're just overriding. So that is a time where, if your higher self and guides cannot resolve it with you, if you don't know how to work with them sufficiently, that is a perfect time to go to a healer. It is so worth the effort, because we've got to get just some beautiful flow between our unconscious, our subconscious, and our conscious, to have things making good sense in life, and being able to live our purpose. So there's a nice oracle deck card called "The Universe Has Your Back: Transforming Fear to Faith." So back to Gregg's point, divine love, it really does just shatter fear. Fear just crumbles, because love is the antidote to fear. And I think that's why Jesus was a teacher of love. I mean, he didn't come here to start a church and do all these other things. But just to be a teacher of love. And there's also we can create something called the heart wall, which Brad Nelson writes about in the Emotion Code. We've talked about that book before. And that book, there's a reason why it's the #1 bestseller in Amazon in patient healing. That book is so popular. There's multiple versions of it. It's renewed and updated regularly, because when we put up this heart wall, which is a defense mechanism, and it's the best we can do at that time. It's just this natural reaction to being deeply wounded. But then when we don't go in and take the time and put in the effort and have the courage to remove that heart wall, well, how are we going to receive divine love? How are we going to receive the good things in life if we don't feel we deserve them, or we're worthy of them? Kind of like your moment, Gregg, when you first got to Brazil on that first trip, because we can be in that just place where we're just too beaten down. We're just in that victimhood kind of place, and just need a hand up. So highly recommend that book and the processes around gently yet effectively removing that heart wall. Past life experiences can absolutely lead to us blocking divine love. One of my guides, I love talking with the guides, because they just tell it like it is. And there's no emotion to it. There's no pussyfooting around. And my guide said to me a few years ago, "Do you know that you've become known as Dr. No?" And I said, "What do you mean by that? Like in the movie?" They said, "Yes, you're even saying no to God. You're like, you're specifically blocking and rejecting assistance from God and not accepting divine love. It was like, oh my goodness. So I was so grateful to that guide for telling me that. And I mean, he was kind of joking because he knew that was the best way I could hear it. And to say, hey, do you know we call you Dr. No? I'm like, oh, wow, got to change that. So that helped me double down on the things that I needed to be doing and to work on my own chakras and my own energy, and to be willing to work with other healers. I've had many sessions with Gregg, and they've just been fantastic. And it's part of why I also make sure that at least once a year I have my own past life regression, because I don't feel I should be leading just hundreds and have the privilege of doing all these different past life regression therapy for other people without continuing to do the work myself. Because new blocks do come up because we're ready to heal them at a deeper level, and something just triggers us and we're like, oh my goodness, I'm back to feeling abandoned or not loved or whatever it might be. So past life regression therapy can be incredibly healing to resolve those past life experiences, because those can specifically have led to us blocking divine love. So I was shown which of my past lives had led to that true just crisis of faith, and having moved from faith to fear. So just like the oracle cards of helping get back to that place of believing that the universe always has your back. And of course, that's hard to believe, when you've gone through the marriage breaking up, the job loss, the car crash, the health crisis. But that's when you've just got to double down and say, okay, obviously this is a big challenge and hard to go through. So I just have to surrender to it and say, okay, I submit. I know everything is for a reason, and we're just gonna move on back into a better stage again. And I just need to move my way through this one with as much love and grace and peace as I can muster. So something that's come up a few years ago for me was I like Gregg, a Reiki master, and I was shown how to actually replace the chakras, which was very surprising to me because it wasn't something I was taught during my Reiki master training. But typically we can assist the chakras, we can repair them, we can bring in new energy, get them moving, get them unstuck, get them balanced and aligned, and do all these good things that they need. But very occasionally, they actually need to be replaced. So it's my privilege to work with the masters and the angels and work with clients where occasionally, I think I've done it maybe 3, 4, 5 times, again, in hundreds of sessions. So, but we can be at the point where we're so blocking divine love that a heart chakra might need to be replaced. Sometimes it's the root chakra too. It might be a different chakra, but that can be going on. So any comments there, Gregg, now that I called myself out, because this was, when you first presented this to me, I was like, oh yeah, what a wonderful topic. Love it, love it. And then as I started to put together my slides, it brought up my stuff. So it was like, oh, good. I've still got work to do in this area, because it resurfaced some things for me.
Yes. The heart chakra, the way I see it is one of the bigger chakras. It's one of the most operative chakras, and it's the one that gets clogged up the most. I see it. Just a few hours ago, we did a session where in our group circle, we were literally looking at our heart chakras, where to me, if you are looking at it from the front, it kind of looks like a funnel, and it goes down to a smaller hole. So it's a larger disc area that goes down to a smaller hole, and then it goes through and out the back the same kind of way. So it's like two funnels kind of connecting. you got this
Yes.
area in the center, and that's kind of like the drain. So the point is, the idea with all of your chakras is to let your experiences pass through you, even the good ones. So in other words, we know what it's like when you have a bad experience, and that gets, creates a block or a clog. Basically, that's because you put a defense up. Like Wendy said, you don't want to experience that again. So your reaction is like, oh, I don't want to feel that again, so I'm going to put this shield, on this area.
The heart wall. Mhm.
Yeah, exactly. Something similar can happen with good experiences where you can get attached to them, and when you don't experience them, then you start to feel bad, and they can cause a block just as well. So the point is to be unattached to these things. It takes a level of mastery to do this. So can you have a good experience and feel good about it, and then not look back at it with longing and nostalgia, even though it's fun to look back and, oh, remember when. But honestly, for those who are trying to raise up on the ladder of ascension, it's not the greatest thing, because sometimes you can really feel bad, that you're not in those experiences anymore, and that can create a heart block just as much as a negative experience. So clearing those out, almost looking at it like a drain, clearing those
And
blockages out
opening yourself to the new ones, because yes, doors do close, as we know. So let's not put all this energy into trying to claw it open again. It's just
right.
let it be, and
Let it
just
be.
like, okay. And sometimes we do have to go through that point where things are just kind of quiet, and we feel kind of emptied out, and we might feel alone or lonely. It's part of the human condition.
Right.
But then the good new things do come again. But we just have to, as you said, Gregg, have mastery, and just have the calm and the patience and the tools. I think that's why the energy management and the spiritual technique podcast that we've done, it's just something you can go listen to that again, or for the first time, and go in and find some tools for yourself.
Definitely.
Okay. So how can we open our hearts to divine love so that we're not known as Dr. No? And there's this wonderful gentleman named Dr. Nels Rasmussen that I know out in the Seattle area, and he runs the healing ministry for animals. And he has what he calls a trust practice. And you just simply place your hand over your heart and say, I trust. And again, that gets hard to do when the inevitable challenges or crises in life come up, but to just continue to do that, and that just allows that heart wall not to formulate, and you're not holding on to things. It's just letting everything continue to flow, because you're simply stating, I trust. So I think it allows things to pass through us more quickly, because we're not resisting. It's a way of just surrendering by trusting like that. And Raven, Many Voices, she just did a lovely, her annual Mother Mary program a few weeks ago. And what Mother Mary, as she channeled Mother Mary, what Mother Mary was recommending was a breath practice. And just, you can truly just close your eyes and take a deep breath and breathe in love, and just feel that divine love, and feel it uplift every part of your being and your energy. And then breathe out love, and just continue doing that, where you breathe in love and breathe out love, and continue until all is love. And if you spend a couple minutes a day doing that, wow, look at how your life can change. So there's a couple practices that are deceptively simple, but yet really, really powerful. And another little example is there's a New York Times bestseller called The Shack. And I recently watched it as a film on Netflix. And it was filmed in 2017. And it's about a father who has a crisis of faith. And I don't want to ruin either the book or the film for you if you choose to watch it, but it's got a very interesting take on the Trinity. So back to that love and power and wisdom. Again, yes, it is Christian. So, that has to be in your wheelhouse, that's something that's of interest to you. And that you're gonna relate to that. But I thought it was an interesting film. Um, did I agree with all of it? No, but I don't think you meant to. To have the thought provoking and kind of get further along in your thinking. I think that's a good thing. Certainly during meditation, you can call on your higher self and your guides to assist you with your heart healing, because almost every person does need heart healing. It's pretty unusual when I do a session with clients, because we go through each of their chakras during the session. It's pretty unusual that the person doesn't need much heart healing. So with that, I'll turn it back over to you, Gregg, unless you'd like to add anything, because I know you're going to lead us through a wonderful meditation.
Yeah, no, let's get right into it.
All right.
Perfect lead up. So this is a quick meditation you can do. It only lasts about 10 minutes. The idea is to cultivate divine love. So we'll go through the steps on how you can do that, where you build up the feeling of divine love to go into your energy body to make you a different and a more loving and a better person, but then also pull it all the way through you and outwards. So it spills out into your etheric field, your aura, and it starts affecting others. You can even push it towards other people, towards situations. It's like I said, it's this strongest, most powerful co-creative force in the universe. Why not use it? So
wonderful.
So let's get into a meditative state right now. My suggestion is you can just stay seated where you are. Just try to keep your arms and legs at your side, your legs straight, nothing crossed. This will allow the energy to flow through you properly. You can lie down if you want. Again, arms and legs at your side, nothing crossed. And I'm just going to do a quick protection ritual. We're going to invoke Archangel Michael, Raphael, Saint Germain, all the guides, guardian angels, healing entities, and non-physical beings who have all of our best interests in mind to provide healing, guidance, and protection. We are all sovereign beings practicing free will, and we do not give permission for anything or anyone to enter our fields or our bodies or to manipulate our consciousness in any way throughout time, space, and the here and now. Thank you all. So the first step is to achieve a relaxed breathing state. The easiest thing to do is to breathe in through the nose, just imagining love, light, and healing going into your body, holding it for a few seconds, and then breathing it outwards. So let's do, just follow along with me right now. Let's breathe in love, light, and healing right now. Hold it. And release out through your mouth. Breathe in again. Hold it. Release out through the mouth. Last time in through the nose. Hold it. Release. Now with your eyes closed, I want you to imagine your body. Imagine your body just kind of standing in space. Imagine you can see through your body like an X-ray. And look at your body from a detached perspective and really focus in on the very center of your body, like right where your heart is, just a little to the right of it. Actually, the best location to look at is your sternum, which is your breastbone. Go in a few inches from your breastbone, like where your spine is. And right there, there's a special spot. There's this, as you put focus on it, you start to see like a little white orb forming. This is an orb of energy. This is where the divine love is going to come in. So just keep your focus on this spot. And just understand that this spot is where you're connected to your energy body, but you're also connected to the creator, you're connected to your guides, and you're also connected to your physical body here. It's like your spiritual navel. It's all these forces are connected in this one spot. The more you focus on this area, you can start to feel a stirring in your chest, like a loosening up, a warmth, a tingling you might start to experience. And if you want to enhance this feeling, you can spin energy just horizontally. Imagine energy spinning around you horizontally from the left side of your body to the right and then behind you and just spinning around. You can imagine spinning this energy around you as rapidly as you want. But when you do that, this orb area starts to grow and you start to feel this warmth, this beautiful warmth. This is where the divine love is gathering. So just sit in this state where you've got this energy spinning around you. It's called a torsion field. And the more it spins, the more this orb starts to open like a valve and the love starts to pour in. Can you feel it? This love from the divine is pouring into your body now. It makes this orb bigger and it starts to expand out. It's bigger than a beach ball now, bigger. It's starting to go out into your energy field until it completely encompasses you. So just sit in that state for a while. Feel that loving energy. And once you achieve it, you can start to move it around. Move it around your body, but move it to people in your life. Those, of course, those you love. You can just imagine a beam of this light coming from your heart out to your friends or loved ones. But here's a challenge that I recommend. Is send this energy from your heart out to those you're having conflicts with, even those you would consider an enemy. Send this loving energy directly from your heart to one of those people. And when you do that, notice the next time that you meet them, how different your experience is with them. You are changing the situation without having to convince them of anything, without having to argue. You're just sending them love. It changes their molecular structure. It changes yours as well. It makes you a more empathetic person, a more loving person, so that the next time you see anybody, whether it be an enemy or a loved one, the whole experience is heightened. So we can close this experience now with this orb that started in the center of our chest, is now completely surrounding our energy body and creates a membrane around us that only allows loving and good things to go into our bodies, and it neutralizes those things that do not belong, that do not serve us. And we're going to leave ourselves in this state where we're filled with divine loving energy. Love, wisdom, and power is now inside of our energy orb that's completely surrounding us. And we're going to stay in this situation now with this experience. We're going to thank the guides, the guardian angels, and for allowing us to experience this, for allow us to integrate this energy with grace and ease. And we want to thank them all. And now you can open your eyes and come back to your consciousness. And you can practice this. You can rewind the recording of this and just go to the part where you can, basically treat this as a guided meditation. And I welcome you to do so. I do this all the time, especially when I've had a tough time with someone. You don't need to talk them out of it. You don't need to convince them. But if you do this, it always makes the situation so much better. So you don't have to do anything. Just fill yourself with divine love. What could be better? All right, Wendy.
All right, fantastic. Perfect quote to end with. Gregg found the quote from Mary Baker Eddy: "No power can withstand divine love." So what a perfect way as we move into the new year and just think about new opportunities, new ways we want to be. So please do join us on January 9th for our next Waking Up Spiritually broadcast. And also, as I mentioned, you're so welcome to join us on Facebook in the Waking Up Spiritually group. And you can go to our website, wakingupspiritually.com, and there you can find all our broadcasts, as well as they're archived on YouTube. So that link is included. Please rate and review us on Apple iTunes. That helps people find us. So we so appreciate you taking a quick moment to do that. And again, you're welcome to visit our websites. Gregg's website is Gregg, Gregg, Kirk, Kirk.com, and mine is wendyrosewilliams.com. And from my website, you can request a complimentary 15-minute phone appointment, and we can explore if you'd like to do a past life regression healing session with me. So thank you, everyone, for being here, and Happy New Year.
God bless everyone. We'll see you on January 9th for our next broadcast. Bye-bye now.